Well, good evening, everybody. It is a cold evening out there. If you guys haven't seen the moon off to the eastern horizon, it is beautiful, big, and orange. So take a peek at that if you can really quickly. But we're going to dive into some details here on the upcoming severe weather potential that we have upcoming for next week. In particular, Tuesday evening is looking to be the time frame where we have to start focusing our attention towards some potential for thunderstorms and maybe some strong or even severe storms. We'll go ahead and break this down for you and go over what we could expect. So, first and foremost, cold day today. It's not going to last long. We're going to jump right back into the 50s tomorrow. And then for Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be in the mid 50s. And on Tuesday, we're going to make a run towards 65, maybe closer to 70 in the southern areas of Michigan. I think 65 will be the top out around that 65, 66, maybe 67, but right around that temperature difference there for Michigan. Here are temperature graphs here on the GFS model. Go ahead and take this full screen so you guys can see it a little bit better. This is going to be the day today. We've seen those blues, those colder 20 and 30 degree temperatures. We spring into tomorrow. We're back into the 40s, probably going to hit 50 in southern Michigan. Dives back down. Monday comes, we're back warm again. We're going to be in the probably mid 50s for a large portion of lower Michigan, even the western UP getting closer to that 50-degree mark. So a pretty good statewide warm up coming for Monday, and then Tuesday's the day to watch. We head to Monday night. These warmer temperatures don't really retreat back south like they usually do. They stick around. Then the day on Tuesday, here come the warm temperatures. We're seeing 65s across the area. We're seeing a pretty widespread warm up here for the state, even the UP getting up there in the 50s, maybe closer to 60. Looks like the further west you go, the better chance you have. But pay attention out here to the west. We have this sharp color gradient here. That's your cold front. So we have 60s, 70s degrees out here, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri. 100 miles to the west, it's only 20 degrees. A 40-degree temperature difference. That is a very, very sharp cold front. It's a very strong cold front. What that's going to do as that pushes into the area on Tuesday evening, it's going to spark some showers and storms. That is the main concern. Now, there is some questions here as far as if we're going to have enough instability around, or we're going to have enough moisture present for storms. Let's go ahead and dive in a little bit further. So first and foremost, we take a look at our United States map, okay? So your temperatures are right here. We're going to switch over to our moisture, or we call them dew points. Check out from the Gulf of Mexico down here by Louisiana. Check how much moisture gets streamed up into the Great Lakes area. This is going to be through the time frame here. This is Tuesday morning. Those green colors there is your moisture streaming north. We're going to see 60s dew points in southern Illinois and Indiana, but up here in Michigan, mid 50s to upper 50 dew points, more than sufficient. Now, summertime, we kind of look to see in the 65 range. This is February, okay? It's not going to be an overly warm and moist day like we have in the summer, but it's going to be very significant for this time of year. 55 dew points will get the job done. In fact, if you remember about last month, Illinois and Wisconsin had tornadoes in the mid 50s dew points. So these are definitely a possibility. Just because it's not up above 60 doesn't make really much of a difference with this. So mid 50s dew points are expected, but the only concern with this, we're going to have storms ongoing down here in Missouri and Arkansas that may cut our moisture off. We're going to have to watch that. We're not going to know if that happens until we get into that Tuesday morning time frame, where we can look at our mesoanalysis, our live feeds, and kind of get an idea of how far north that moisture is getting. So that's something to watch there. If we don't get that moisture up here, that limits the overall severe threat. Another thing we have to watch is early morning storms. And what I mean by that is there is a good push of instability Tuesday morning into the area. Going back here to our surface-based instability map, we're going to see a good surge of instability here. This is Tuesday morning. We see these purple colors here. That may spark off some showers and storms as early as sunrise on Tuesday. If that happens, even if it happens down here in Illinois, Indiana, that may again work to limit the overall instability for later on in the day. Two things to watch there, okay? Instability in the morning, and also your moisture returns throughout the day. So as the day goes on, though, the models do indicate a return of moisture and also a return of the instability. We see it expand and also strengthen over Illinois here. But also notice these purple colors over here in Michigan. That is going to be your surface-based instability that is forecasted currently to be present Tuesday evening into Tuesday overnight hours. So with that being said, the overall synopsis that we're kind of thinking, I'm going to take myself, or actually, no, I'm already off the screen. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to a few overlays I have saved to show you guys a little bit of a synopsis here. First and foremost, your SPC severe risk. We are in a slight risk for the majority of lower peninsula of Michigan. That extends all the way up into Mount Pleasant, even up toward Roscommon, not quite toward Roscommon, but just about, just to the south of Roscommon. It stretches up further north there. Mount Pleasant, Alma, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Detroit is just off to that east of that slight risk. But again, keep in mind, as we get into the day 3 time frame, which is going to be overnight tonight and tomorrow morning, the SPC will add marginal risks to this map. This map is only for slight risk. We're likely going to see an expansion of the marginal risk, which is the lower end threat, but still a severe threat nonetheless. So the slight risk is there for a good chunk of lower Michigan there, and that's going to be primarily for wind and hail, but the SPC also is mentioning the possibility of some tornadoes being possible. Personally, as my opinion here, I think that threat's going to be highest off into Illinois, maybe Northwest Indiana, and perhaps far Southwest Michigan could get on the action there. Again, we're still 4 days out from this, so things could probably change. But right now, the highest threat for those tornadoes, I think, is going to be off to the south and to our west. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on that. First and foremost, I want to dive into some of these models here. The NAM and the ARRR model are not loaded out to this time frame just yet. Those are the models that have the radars and what we kind of get an idea of where they're going to fire off storms. The global models like the GFS and the Euro do have this to some degree, but not as significant as what the NAM and the ARRR could show us. But first and foremost, diving into the radar here, this is going to be your overlay for, I want to say this is 00Z. This is going to be for 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. We're going to see it. No, actually, my bad. This is going to be for overnight. We got to go back one more. This is going to be for 00Z, 7 p.m. You're going to see this warm front lift north into Michigan. We see showers and storms going across Illinois here, northern Indiana. That pushes northward, okay, into Michigan. And 3 hours later, that's what the radar looks like. So again, those showers and storms are going to be on the edge of better wind shear. This is going to be the exact same map, just a little bit different colors here. Remember where those showers and storms were? You see how that overlays pretty well there? They're in a good wind sheared environment, okay? The only question that we have is there enough instability? Now we're going to overlay the instability map here, a little bit different map. This is going to be your instability map for the exact same time frame. We see right around 500 joules of surface-based CAPE. So nothing significant here, but 500 joules is kind of that borderline number where we're kind of looking, well, it could go either way with this. So if it stays 500, it could go either way. I've seen setups in Ohio produce tornadoes with 300 joules of surface CAPE. We're going to have about 500 or so. But again, this is highly dependent on how far north that moisture can get, and also if early morning convection is going to limit this. So we're going to have to watch this very closely. If we start having more instability returns, we become more concerned. But right now, it's kind of that borderline. It could go either way type of situation. Now, that is going to be for the lower part of Michigan. I want to focus very briefly on the UP. We do have a snow threat for the UP with this system, which could see 4 to 8+ inches, particularly in the northern and also western part of the UP there as well. And then also for the lower peninsula of Michigan, behind the cold front, it's going to be a very brief changeover to snow. It's likely not going to stick. We may see accumulation on maybe grassy surfaces, elevated surfaces, but again, it's going to be very fast moving, and also it's going to be 65 degrees on Tuesday. I don't think the ground temperatures are going to support the sticking of any significant snowfall, but just keep that in mind. And also, the last thing I want to cover here is your temperature gradient here on Wednesday morning. Check out the temperature difference here. If we go to the west side of Michigan, we're in the 20s, but the east side of Michigan is in the 60s. That is a 40-degree difference. So if people with sinus issues, people with headaches, with the human barometer, so to speak, I feel bad for you guys. Wednesday is going to be a brutal day for you. But with that being said, going right back to the SPC outlook, the SPC does have us in the 15% risk, which is a level 2 out of 5. It's a very real risk that's going to be that could come together. It's just going to be a matter of, again, how far north the instability can get. if we're going to have instability, or sorry, how far north the moisture can get, and if we're going to have instability stick around into the evening hours. As far as timing goes, likely going to have the first initial storms in Michigan. Again, Tuesday morning, a possibility, but the main focus remains on Tuesday evening. I'm going to probably throw out right around 6, 7, and after that time frame, 6, 7 p.m. and after. Okay, that's the tentative rough time frame. Again, that could change, and we're going to have to kind of limit this and kind of zone this in and adjust, so to speak, as we get into tomorrow, into Monday, and also into Tuesday. But again, this is going to be a pretty interesting setup to watch. And again, this is February, so these systems are really highly sheared, really dynamically juiced. But again, the real question is your thermodynamic profiles, your profiles of dew points and your temperatures and your instability and how those all overlay together. With that being said, that's all I have for you. So I'm going to turn over to the comment section really quickly. We will be live here on the Facebook page if needed, where we will have chasers. I believe we have a few chasers going out to Illinois to start chasing and work their way back northeast toward Michigan. So we will have chasers in the field. We do have that scheduled right now for Tuesday evening if needed. So you may have saw it on our page. Don't get freaked out just yet. We will be live streaming radar and also have chasers out in the field having you updated and covered. So no worries there. And I'll go ahead and switch over here to the comment section to see if any questions. Again, guys, I'm going to ask that you guys don't ask specific questions like what time for your city or what could the city have. It's too early to really nail this down, but right now I can say in this yellow zone on your screen, that's your current severe risk. That includes Grand Rapids, Mount Pleasant, Alma, Saginaw, Flint, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Coldwater, Adrian, Monroe, and Detroit are just out of that risk. But again, likely we're going to see a marginal risk added in. So I'm going to assume you guys are going to be under some type of risk as well. So again, we'll get more specific and answer some more specific questions as we get closer to Tuesday. But for right now, I'm going to ask you guys, don't get too specific with your questions, okay? All righty, let's see here. I don't see too many questions on this. We'll probably go live again tomorrow for an update if anything significant has changed. So if you guys want to tune back in for an update, probably roughly the same time around 7 p.m., we'll go live once again and cover this. All right. Yes, Ben will be live chasing out in Eastern Illinois and Western Indiana. So if you guys want to watch him out of state chasing, we will go ahead and share those links on Tuesday if you guys are interested in watching. Yes, Brandy, the main concern that I personally have for Michigan would be the wind and hail threat. I do think there is potential for a tornadic risk to develop, but again, that's going to be highly, highly dependent on the amount of instability and moisture that gets into Michigan. So still some questions with that. The SPC does mention the risk for all hazards, which is wind, hail, and tornadoes. I just think that threat for right now, at least, is further to the west and further to the south than, say, northeastern Illinois, northwest Indiana, that portion of the region. Yes, so if you guys have plans Tuesday evening, I would definitely consider at least paying attention to your local forecast, especially as we get closer to Tuesday. I'm not going to say cancel your plans, anything like that, but it's definitely a risk to keep an eye out for. We'll have to kind of nail that down a bit further as far as timing goes. It may be a later in the evening time frame too, maybe closer to like after 9 p.m. So a lot of people back home when they're out and about for the evening, they might be back home by that time. So our confidence in this system and the setup right now, I'm going to say is medium. We're pretty confident we're going to be impacted by this in one way, shape, or form. It's going to rain. It's going to be a very warm day Tuesday. It's very sharp, cold front. It's going to be very cold behind that front. But overall, the confidence in severe weather here in Michigan is medium right now. And it's going to, again, dependent on those dew points and the instability. Could Lake Michigan hinder the storms at all? So there is a possibility. It's a good question, and I'm going to explain this as best as possible. Sometimes when we have cold lake waters, storms that do cross those lakes when they're cold can die, okay? This particular setup is kind of working its way south to north, so it's not going to cross the lakes. However, I have seen times where these warm fronts try to advance north into Michigan. They struggle to get past the Lake Erie Lake Michigan border there, basically the Ohio Indiana border. They struggled to get past that further north because those lakes are so cold. So we're gonna have to kind of watch that warm front too. But again, that kind of goes hand in hand with the dew points instability. How far north can they get? If that warm front stalls on the border of Indiana and Ohio, we're not going to be as warm, and we're probably just going to have some cold rain, honestly. So we'll have to watch that. But that's a possibility. Right now, models do not show that. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Hey Ben, I think the European model has a really good handle on timing on this. I think it's pretty much nailed this down to a T, in my opinion. The GFS and other models are probably going to play catch up with it. But as far as that shift west, I don't think it's going to shift. I think that Euro is spot on. So that's a good question, Alex. If you're outside the severe risk on your screen or like right around that risk, you will likely be added into a marginal risk, which is a level 1 out of 5. Again, they don't add marginal risks past day 4. So day 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they don't add marginal risks until you get to the day 3 time frame, which will be the overnight tonight outlook. So we'll have an idea of marginal risks by morning. Yes, we will be live with chasing and also on radar here. So we got you guys covered for Tuesday evening. No matter, hopefully this doesn't pan out, but if it pans out, we will be here for sure covering this. I'm gonna take this off your screen here. There we go. Can we show us some model runs? So Quinn, I just did that at the beginning of the live stream. We'll get into more model runs tomorrow and also Monday, just because the NAM3 and HRRR models only go out 48 and 60 hours. So if I were to try and show you the exact radar, I'll get you up until probably, Tuesday at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's all I got right now. That's all it shows. So we'll have to kind of look at that again tomorrow. We'll have a better idea what we're going to be looking at by tomorrow evening. So again, stay tuned. Tomorrow evening, we'll have a better idea as far as the NAM3 model goes. But in terms of the overall like model runs and stuff like that, just going over everything really quickly for those who have just tuned in, we're looking at that evening time frame here. Go ahead and bring this back up here. This is going to be 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening. We see that warm front here across northern Indiana and also northern Ohio pushing north. 3 hours later, it pushes into Michigan. And then if we were to overlay our wind shear profiles, it's overlaying really nicely with that advancement of the warm front and also where those storms are. So a highly sheared environment. And then here's our instability product. Again, borderline instability here. 500 is 500 joules of CAPE on the surface is what you want to see. And right now we have just about that 500 mark, give or take 100 or so joules. So if we see an uptrend in instability, we become more concerned. A downtrend, less concerned. What's up, Chris? Yes, this has actually happened before in the Great Lakes region. We had a setup either, I think it was 2022 in February. I think Illinois had a few tornadoes. And then also a month ago, Wisconsin had an EF2 tornado, and also Illinois had a brief, I think it was EF0, EF1 tornado. So these are not uncommon to happen in the Great Lakes region. More so to the west of us, but really rare do we get a severe threat in February here in Michigan. So yes, Beth, we will have an update, a text update, a post, should I say, with the updated SPC map. And then we'll probably start sharing our personal forecasts. We put those out. We put our personal forecasts and opinions out to subscribers first. So those went out to I can't talk tonight. Those personal opinions went to subscribers first. We'll likely start doing those publicly probably tomorrow or as early as Monday morning, or as late as Monday morning, should I say. April 5th, 2023. No, I don't think it's a comparison here. The low pressure is the positioning of everything just doesn't line up at all. We're not going to have storms crossing Lake Michigan. Although, again, a lot of these setups here in Michigan are highly dependent on morning convection. We have a lot of times where we'll mention like, well, we're going to have rain in the morning, so it may hinder the threat later on. this is the case. This is typical Michigan severe weather setup here. It's very rare do we have a setup that's just pure sun from the morning. When it is pure sun from the morning, it's usually a bad sign. More sun, more instability, so on and so forth. Alexander, thank you for this. Okay, a little bit of a long-term sneak peek. We will be doing we do weekly updates in terms of long-term pattern and also just kind of like the week ahead. After this cool down behind that behind that cold front, we are going to see again a significant warm up with another system pushing our way, which we're watching for early March. I don't have specifics on that, but it looks fairly similar to this one, just a little bit slower in timing where we're not going to have as good as timing for severe weather or strong storms. But keep an eye out for that early first week of March timeframe. We do have another system pushing in with, again, a big warm up, probably into the 60s once again. In fact, we can kind of sneak peek it. We'll cover it more tomorrow, but let's go ahead and cover it really briefly here for those of you who are on. So we'll go back to the GFS model temperature run here. We're going to pass this week. There's your sharp cold front. Now watch, this is Thursday, and here comes the warm temperatures back. Here's Friday. Here's Saturday. We're in the close to 60 on Saturday. Then Sunday, we're back into the 60s. Then here's that system off into the plains with that cold front moving in. It doesn't look to be as sharp, but we'll have to keep an eye out on probably next Monday or Tuesday time frame. We're going to have that another cold front working our way, which could spark some more showers and storms, maybe stronger. But again, we're still a week plus out. So no specifics on that yet. Just another warm up that's going to be on the way. Another sharp cold front for early March there. Yeah, you made it, Freedom. We are live. Any chance we can see sunshine in parts of Michigan? I think the NWS said cloud cover would our severe chance further increase. Okay. If we get sun, it's always a good thing to see the sun for severe weather. If you want severe weather, you want to see the sun. However, I think a lot of the instability is going to be transported from that low-level jet. If we look at our 850 millibar, which is a low level in the atmosphere, we're going to see a really strong return of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Go ahead and take a pan out here. So just because we don't see sun, I don't think that's going to limit the severe threat because most of our moisture is getting transported up from the Gulf of Mexico. Check this out. Here's the Gulf down here. Here's your jet stream, unimpeded flow all the way up into Michigan. So I don't think it's going to matter much, sun or not. I think the majority of our instability is going to come from this low-level jet. Yes, we will be covering it live if needed. Again, if this downtrends, there's no reason to go live. But with the expectation of severe weather, we will be live here. We do have it scheduled right now for, I believe, 7 or 7:30 for Tuesday evening. We'll hop on obviously sooner if need be or later if need be. But right now, we do have that scheduled on our page. If you guys want to be reminded of it, we will pin it after this live stream. Go to our pin post, click interested. It will remind you if you guys want to do that in case we do go live. So that is the plan. I'll be here at home covering radar, and I believe Ben, Drew, or Ben and I think Drew might be out chasing locally. Ben's going out to Illinois. Chandler and Alex will be out. I'm not sure about Nick yet, but we will have plenty of chasers out there. Hey, Carly, the recap here is the SPC does have us in a severe risk already, day 4 severe risk. Pretty rare to see that in February. And that's going to be for Tuesday night. Okay. So the severe risk here is for the majority of lower Michigan. If you're up in northern Michigan, you're likely going to be in a marginal risk tomorrow morning. Okay. But that slight risk, 15%, level 2 of 5, encompasses Ann Arbor, Coldwater, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Alma, Mount Pleasant, Saginaw, Flint, those areas in particular, and surrounding areas as well. That's going to be for Tuesday night. We look at some models here. The European model especially does show development along the warm front, overlaying that with our better wind shear, which is right here. Those purples are really good wind shear. Then also with instability as well. Late evening, 7 p.m., probably around that time frame, give or take. Again, we're not nailing this down just yet. We're still 4 days out. Lots can change, but right now, Tuesday evening, pay attention. We do have a severe threat. Wind and hail, primary threats. Not going to rule out tornadoes just yet. But again, I think the wind and hail are going to be your 2 primary concerns. Go ahead and take this off. There we go. Yeah, Joel will be on here, I believe, with me, or he might go out. I'm not sure yet, but I think he said he was going to be on live streaming with me. So Joel and I will have probably the radar, maybe Nick as well. I'm not sure what Nick's plans are just yet, but yeah, we'll be here covering. And for those of you who do want to watch out of state chasing, we will have that available as well. We will share that information when it comes to Tuesday. I believe Ben is going out out west. I think Chandler and Alex might be going out as well. So feels weird. I might wear shorts on Tuesday. Oh man, I've been wearing shorts all winter, Drew. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Very rarely do we get those 65, maybe close to 70 in some spots in February. That'd be insane. Think flights will still be good. Landing in GR late that night. It'll be windy. I'm not going to say there's going to be delays, but I would definitely keep in back in your mind there. Honestly, I think it'll be fine if it's late at night. I think it'll be fine because storms will be passing by then. Just be rain at that point. Too early to predict wind speeds. Yeah, it is. I do expect a QLCS or a squall line, to simplify it, a line of storms that can gel into a line. I do expect that to happen. I'm going to probably say the low end 60-mile-per-hour winds would probably be the main threat. Although I'm not going to rule out higher end wind gusts as well, just because the system is very dynamic, a lot of wind shear with this. So I'm not going to be surprised if this does push into a little bit higher than 60 miles per hour. Threats from Monroe County right now. For right now, you guys are not in a severe threat, but it will likely be added tomorrow morning. I'm going to say wind and hail are going to be your main two threats. The further east and further north you go, the lower threat you have. So if you're over there towards Metro Detroit or up north toward the Gaylord area, those are going to be the lower threats. And then if you're toward Kalamazoo, Coldwater, Battle Creek, that side of the state, Grand Rapids as well, you guys are probably being a little bit bigger of a threat. Just my opinion. We'll kind of have to see how that plays out. All right. Any more questions, guys, before I hop off here? We'll be live again probably tomorrow. Oh, actually, it is Sunday, so 7 p.m. We will be live tomorrow evening. We will go over this again, but also go over the long-term look at how March is kind of looking, maybe the longer term, how El Nino, how La Nina, the Enzo phase, stuff like that. We dive in depth on Sunday nights. We're starting that. We started last week. So if you guys want to see that, interested in the long term and also the week ahead, systems to watch, stuff like that, 7 p.m. Sundays, we'll be there every single Sunday doing that. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. And again, we'll be keeping you guys updated on this system. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Christine, this is for Tuesday. This is not for tomorrow. This is going to be for Tuesday. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you. Thank you.